You keep saying, hey, I want the playoffs to get here, but guess what? Both games tonight have big playoff implications about where our two teams will be seated. What do you got your eye on between the Avs and Nuggets? Which one will you be most locked into this evening?
Well, I wanted the Avalanche are not playing well, Will. I mean, that's the one that I'm probably more concerned about. But given that it's kind of staggered, it'll probably a little bit of both. And when the Nuggets are heading to Utah, a place that they struggle mightily in, can they get a W there? I mean, the last time, when's the last time they won there?
The iconic photo with the 7 guys on the plane. Remember that when they had just traded everyone and they only had 7 available players, and the private jet coming home was Coach Malone and the 7 guys that were eligible to suit up for the Nuggets that night? Ironically, Cello, that's Michael Malone's only win in Utah in his entire career as Denver Nuggets head coach. He is 1-14 in that arena, a stunning statistic for a coach that's had a lot of success.
Yeah, and it's meaningful, right? Because if you want tomorrow to mean something, you got to get the first leg of it out of the way, and that's against Utah tonight.
Yeah, I keep hearing all these folks, I was talking to Zach and Phil about this, say, oh, well, the number 1 seed's on the line tomorrow night against Minnesota. Well, yeah, if you beat Utah tonight, but last time I checked, you've lost 14 of 15 in that building. I know the Jazz have everyone hurt, and their injury report looks like a grocery list. There's no one you've ever heard of playing in this game unless you are a diehard NBA fan. But at some point, it just becomes a mental block playing in that arena for whatever reason. I mean, if Coach Malone's 1-14 in that arena, what's Nikola Jokic? 1-12? 1-13? Like, he hasn't won there either, and he's the best player on earth. So, yes, they should win. The odds makers have them as massive double-digit favorites, which is a lot in the NBA. I get it, but I think I'm going to be more locked into the Nuggets for some of those reasons of, like, can you just be up 63-40 at halftime and none of us have to sweat this? The Jazz are out of it. They've got nothing to play for.
Dude,
but it could be kind of a pride game
in a row.
Yeah.
12. I mean, I know there's been some pretty impressive losing streaks this year in the NBA, Detroit being one of them for sure. But 12 in a row at this point in the season. There was one point when Utah was actually playing pretty well, and I understand there's injuries and stuff that go along with that. If you can't win in Utah when you're not playing any of their guys and they've lost 12 straight, that's a problem. And especially when what you know is on the line for the Nuggets going into tomorrow night.
Well, because the Timberwolves are tipping off with the Washington Wizards as we speak. Guess who's winning that game? Minnesota. Washington will not do you any favors tonight. You mentioned Detroit. It seems like them and Washington are always jockeying for the worst team in the NBA title. I guarantee you the Wolves win tonight. And if you lose, you fall a full game back of Minnesota, and you don't hold the tiebreaker. So we can't sit here and talk ourselves into, hey, tomorrow night's for the 1 seed, for the 1 seed, for the 1 seed, until we get to about 9:30 tonight. And then we can say, okay, now tomorrow night's for the 1 seed because you took care of business against a really bad Jazz team. I don't know, man. I'm not saying they're going to lose because it would be a stunner if they lost tonight in Utah. But I'm not saying it isn't going to be close. I think this game could come down to the wire just because all pro teams have that one arena they can never seem to play well in. Heck, for Tom Brady, it was Denver, right? Like, Tom Brady won everywhere he went. And for whatever reason, dude could rarely win at Mile High unless he was playing against Tebow. So it just doesn't feel like a sure thing lock that the Nuggets are going to roll the Jazz as they probably should on paper.
I'm on the flip side of that coin.
Oh, I like it. A little positivity, baby.
I couldn't feel more comfortable about them going into Salt Lake City tonight. I mean, with everything that's laid out in front of them, I'm probably 98% certain that they win this game. I'll just make it a lock. There's no way they're going to lose this game.
Okay, I like it.
Listen, we talked last week about Michael Malone and maybe manipulating the schedule a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. With players being out and trying to manipulate who your opponent would be. Well, maybe he manipulated it so that this game tomorrow night, the second of a back-to-back for both teams, but you're at home, you go out, and now I know he didn't know Utah was going to be this bad for a stretch. They've lost 12 straight. You go in, you win that game, and then everything's on the line tomorrow evening.
Yeah, it's for all the marbles in terms of if you face Minnesota in the Western Conference Finals, where will games 1, 2, 4, and 7 be, or 1, 2, 5, and 7 be played? And you obviously want those at home, particularly so you can get out to a 2-0 lead. And if for whatever reason it goes the distance, it's here in Denver and not up there. Quick injury report. Sounds like everyone is going to play tonight except for Aaron Gordon. Michael Malone met with the media in the last half hour and said Jamal Murray could be on somewhat of a minutes limit, but he emphasized it wouldn't be much. So I think if you're Michael Malone, hey, you're giving AG the night off. We love AG, but we should be able to win this game without him. And with Jamal, well, the minutes limit is hopefully you're up 25 in the fourth quarter, and it can kind of take care of itself. Played 21 against the Hawks the other night. In a perfect world, he plays 25 tonight, and he's ready to go for a back-to-back tomorrow night, which is a lot to ask for a guy who did end up missing 7 games in a row.
That's the only thing, and I think you're right there, Will. That's where I'd probably be on board with you, is like, leave no doubt, right? Like, get this taken care of early so that your stars – I mean, I would assume you would agree, but the AG move tonight is probably more of a load management type of deal, right?
If it was a playoff game, he'd play.
Be playing.
Yep.
But to your point, if you're going to be playing for the number 1 seed, if say they both win tonight, you want them to be able to be as fresh as possible. Get your business taken care of early and often so that you can rest some of those players and let the other guys kind of go to work down the stretch. Because at that point, you put the lineups up against one another, I think you'd be pretty even if you gave that big of a lead.
And then you can wave to the Timberwolves at the airport because you guys will probably be landing around the same time. They get going an hour earlier out in Minneapolis. You're out in Utah. The flight's probably an hour and a half shorter. Both teams on equal playing surfaces. They go to a hotel. Nuggets get to sleep in their own bed. Let's bounce over to the Avalanche against the Wild tonight. I wrote about it at denversports.com this morning. The Avalanche have got to make some tough decisions when it comes to Alexander Georgiev. And after giving up 6 goals to the Oilers and 6 goals to the Stars, I thought it should have been Justus Ananen's net tonight, and I thought it should have been Justus Ananen's net round 1, game 1. Well, this is what happens in this industry. I published that column quite early this morning, wrote it last night, and Jared Bednar comes out at morning skate about 5-6 hours later and says, Georgie's our guy tonight. So the head coach who makes the decisions continues to have faith in Georgiev. Do you buy into giving him a 3rd straight start after giving up 12 goals in 2 games?
I do. And I will tell you, I mean, come on, Wilson Phillips. Hold on for one more day. He's been your guy, right, all year long. Is he playing well right now? No. Nobody's going to argue that.
He hasn't played well all year.
All year?
Can I hit you with some stats?
Yeah, but I mean, like, listen, I don't know that it was that bad.
Okay, let me hit you with some stats and then see if you can rebuttal this. Alexander Georgiev's save percentage is .899. That is 36th in the NHL among eligible goalies.
Is that bad? I'm kidding.
I gave you a look at it. You serious, bro? Last time I checked, there are only 32 teams in the league. So not only is he trailing most of the starters, but a lot of the backups as well. Cello, he's giving up 2.97 goals per game, 33rd in the league. The Avalanche have a championship-level roster, but let's be honest, they don't have a championship-level goalie in Georgiev. Your guy, who you're trying to ride to a cup, 36 in save percentage and 33rd in goals per game. If those numbers aren't jarring to you, then I'm not sure what is.
No, I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's like the best in the league, but my point was
he's worse than every other goalie in the league based on these metrics.
Well, what the hell are you going to do now? I mean, what are we going to do now? You're going to go with Justus? 3 weeks ago, we were talking about how much of a clown that guy was.
I don't think he's a clown. He's given up 2.24 goals per game and has a .931 save percentage. So and maybe you don't need a degree in mathematics to know those are significantly better than Georgie's numbers.
Carry the one. Yeah, you're right. Ananen, on the other hand, is like, listen, my point is, this has been your guy all year long. If you weren't going to make a move at the trade deadline, then you got to go with what you have right now. And maybe you're right. Maybe this is the final straw. Maybe they're like, you need to get your act together because like we talked about last week, keepers are crazy. Not only mentally, you got to have something different about you to be a goaltender in the NHL, but they can also flip on a switch. We've seen series just be changed because somebody figured it out, or we've seen series been lost because the guy that you counted on all year, which I think is what you're alluding to, wasn't up to the challenge in the postseason. Now, a lot of this goes back to how well has the Avalanche been playing of late as well. And we could put it all on Georgie if you want, but the team in general over the last 10 days hasn't looked all that great.
They haven't. Obviously, that 9-game winning streak feels like it was 3 months ago, not just a couple of weeks ago. I will give you that. I'm not sitting here telling you the defense was good against Dallas on Sunday night. I watched the whole game. They gave up too many chances. but he also didn't bail you out. And good goaltenders can bail you out.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to be Jared Bednar facing Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar and saying, yeah, I'm going to waste another year in your prime because we're going to lose playoff games 6-4. That's not a very fun conversation to have with your superstars. I'm not telling you they have to win playoff games 2-1, but they can win games 4-2, 5-3.
Yeah.
You just need your goalie to be middle of the road, much like Kemper and Francouz were 2 years ago. And right now, Georgie's not middle of the road. He's downright awful.
It has been. Yeah, for sure. But if that was and you knew this when you were going, this is what I'm saying. If the trade deadline didn't provoke you to make another move, then they were confident at that point. Now, things change, but I don't know any other recourse you have. I mean, if you're ready right now, how many games do they have left?
4.
4? You want Annunen to start all 4?
3 of the 4. They have a tricky back-to-back this weekend. They have the Jets on Saturday, which will determine home ice more or less in round 1. Jets are only 2 points back. Then they go to Vegas for a day game the next day, which what in the world is the NHL doing, playing back-to-backs with day games? Come on, guys, especially not in the same building. But I would give Annunen tonight. I would give him Saturday against the Jets. I'd give Georgie Sunday against the Knights. Then I would give Annunen the finale, and then round 1, game 1. Yes.
So you're set. You're done with him.
I'm done.
There's nothing that can change your mind.
Not 2 months from now. Like I wrote in my column today, this isn't me saying he'll never play again. They needed 2 goalies 2 years ago. They'll probably need 2 goalies at some point in this run.
Who's in the minor league system?
Prosvetov, who had 11 games here this year that didn't go well. I have made up my mind who my playoff starter is. Sounds like Jared Bednar hasn't. His opinion matters a little more than mine on this opinion. But I'm telling you, Cello, if they lose 7-4 tonight, I think his mind will be forced to be made up.
Yeah, you can't give up you have a game like that because I think he's being challenged right now.
Oh, yeah.
He's putting it out there. You want this role, go out and earn it.
Oh, they are literally telling him, you're playing for your playoff job right now. That every single game you are being evaluated, and the more stinkers you put out there, the more you are going to force our hand to start the guy who began the season as the 4th-string goalie. Because remember, Georgie was 1. Pavel Francouz was 2. He got season-ending surgery. Reports are, he's not even rehabbing, Cello. It stinks because Frankie was a hero, right? Remember the Frankie chants at the parade? By all accounts, Pavel Francouz isn't trying to come back from this injury, and that's his right. He's got a ring, but he's retired at this point, or he's going to officially retire. And then you tried Prosvetov, who came up for 11 games and had Georgie-like numbers, so that got him booted back to the Eagles.
Wow.
And now you have Annunen.
Drinking the haterade tonight on Georgie.
It's not good enough, man, and you can't. Do you see what I'm saying? That you can't waste McKinnon and Makar because you're losing playoff games 6-4.
100% agree with you. But in fact, when you asked, I think it was last week, you asked me, which team are you more confident in providing the city of Denver with a parade? And I told you the Nuggets, hands down, like no hesitation whatsoever. And the reason was not because of the talent that they have on the roster with the Avalanche, but the question at goaltender. And we don't have, the questions have gotten worse over the last week. Since even when we did the show last Tuesday.
Oh, Cello, it's gone from whispers to downright conversations.
And the teams looked bad.
Yeah, 7 or 10 days ago, this was, come on, it's Georgie. And then it's been so difficult to watch over the last 2 outings that it hasn't gone from, well, maybe they should give Annunen a shot to, there are a lot of fans. I mean, almost the majority of fans at this point saying, yeah, you just got to make a change. You got to make a tough decision. I think Bednar, I agree with you, he's testing him, but I also think Bednar has proven over the years he's not afraid to make the tough decisions. He will pull the plug on this thing if it doesn't go well tonight.
I guess the only saving grace is that when we were talking about it last week, you also said they kind of limped into the postseason a couple years ago.
They did.
I mean, I don't remember feeling like this bad, like where you're just like you're expecting to see a loss like we have over the last week whenever they played. And there have been some meaningful games.
I was going to say, can I tell you the key difference? A couple of years ago, they had the 1 seed wrapped up. They knew that the cup was coming through Ball Arena in every single series. Now, not only did they blow the Central Division on Sunday, they are not going to win the division. They are in a dogfight with the Winnipeg Jets to even host Game 1 of Round 1 at Ball Arena and secure home ice advantage. If they lose tonight and Winnipeg wins, that game for Saturday will be for all the marbles, whether you're getting on a plane to Winnipeg for Game 1 or not. That would be a pretty stark fall-off from a team that had President's Trophy aspirations 2-3 weeks ago to all of a sudden starting the playoffs on the road, that is not a scenario anyone saw coming.
No, hockey's different than all the other sports.
It is.
And it's kind of similar to baseball. You can kind of limp into the postseason, and for whatever reason, something clicks, right? And you can make a run. I don't like that because of where this team has been listed over the last couple of years. I mean, there's a top team in the league. There's people have been predicting them to win the Cup the last 3-4 years, and we have one, and one Stanley Cup final appearance. So now you have the pressure of that added on top because you don't tell me those guys don't think about it themselves too, Will, that, hey, man, I'm in the prime of my career. I might have the best year that I've ever had as a professional hockey player.
Well, Nathan MacKinnon is having the best year
Exactly.
he's
That's
ever
what
had.
I'm saying. And it could be wasted because I think that he thought they had the answers with the moves that they made with the roster. I think they did a bunch of all those moves because of what was going on inside the locker room with some of the guys that are no longer here.
Oh, yeah, they got Ryan Johansson out of here. They brought in Casey Middlestad, Walker,
because of that,
Duhaime.
you forgot about one glaring problem.
So you blame the front office more than anyone is what you're telling me right now.
It wasn't that's one of the things that we were always talking about. Are they going to make a move? If they make a move, is it going to be for another goalie?
Well, they made 4 trades. None of them involved goalies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if that is the failure of the team this year, then you have to put it on them because the other guys that you brought in seem to click and gel really well very quickly when you go on the 9-game win streak. And then what's left is now we're kind of just, like you said, we're welting away in the final weeks of the season and losing playoff position, and it could continue if you stay on this track.
All right, we're going to get to some Broncos here in a moment, but as long as we're bouncing around Denver sports, why don't we talk about the Colorado Rockies, who will play Arizona again tonight here in just a little bit. But, Cello, they do get a win last night. It felt good, only the third of the season. And I think the biggest takeaway was Kyle Freeland looked much more like Kyle Freeland. He didn't get shelled. He only gave up 2 earned runs. A bad error by Ryan McMahon doubled up the amount of runs that scored while he was on the mound. But he made it through 5. He kind of labored through 5. I mean, 93 pitches through 5 innings isn't exactly efficient. But also, at least we're not sitting here tonight, Cello, having the conversation of what do they do with Kyle Freeland? Because if you give up 10 runs every outing, very quickly you have to start having some uncomfortable conversations. I was just glad to see he bounced back. And then, of course, a bonus that they found a way to win a baseball game, something they've done very few of this year.
Wow, KJ, you see that? Will's water bottle is half full. It takes the Rockies to get one win.
I'm just glad, dude, that we don't have to talk about does Kyle Freeland have a future as a big league pitcher.
Well, I know.
Because it was starting to teeter towards that, which scared me, and I felt bad for the hometown kid.
His ERA was just sub 30.
Right, he got it down to 16 last night.
There you go.
He's at 16.03. Good for Kyle.
I mean, I don't know how promising that is. It's nice that they get a win, but it's like that team's got to have a theme song, and all I hear is bad news Bears when I talk Rockies, because it's kind of all-time kind of bad already, and you're 11 games into the season.
Oh, I'm not trying to make it puppies and roses because they won one game last night. I want to make that clear.
It's all about Freeland.
I'm trying to make it that we don't have to sit here and say, do you try to demote him, but he's out of options, so you have to downright waive him, and he's going to go somewhere else. I was worried that Kyle Freeland's career in a Rockies uniform could have been ticking toward an end if he didn't figure it out, and he didn't figure it out quick, and he at least figured it out somewhat last
Okay, I'm
night.
going to flip it on you and go back to the Avalanche with this.
Okay.
Say Georgie goes out and throws a shutout tonight. How does that make you feel, or you still want to make the move?
If he throws a shutout tonight, then yeah, I'll give him another chance. But then he's got to go beat Winnipeg on Saturday. He's on a game to game basis right now.
Yeah.
He's got to be really good in these last 4. He'll probably play 3 of the 4 because we outlined the weird back to back. It's got to be really good in those 3 for me to say, all right, round 1, game 1, Georgie's between the pipes.
We can go back to the Rockies. I just wanted to make sure that we were being fair to Georgie.
Okay, but you also, I mean, what are the odds Cal Quantrill throws a no-hitter tonight at Coors Field? That's the same odds that Georgie throws a shutout tonight against Minnesota.
I don't know that they're the same.
They're both long shots. Let's put it that way.
Okay. We'll see. The Rockies, on the other hand, I mean, this year, I don't know how quickly it can get over, to be honest with you.
Oh, gosh, you're saying that on April 9th.
Weren't you saying that last week?
I was, but it just goes to show you we are in for a long haul if If they're 3-8 and you're like, okay, we've played 11, we've got 151 to go.
Well, dude,
how do we get through those 151?
We talked about it last week when KJ said they were going to be about 500 by the end of the month.
Yeah.
And normally they do start off pretty good in April because nobody's like really figured out that they're playing for the Rockies yet, and all the built-in excuses of we've tried everything and you can't do it here. Like you have that plus what they are now. It's just a sad sight to see because you were down there at opening day. This place is nuts.
Oh, we were at El Patio. I was filling in for Brandon Stokely. Had a lot of fun doing those 4 hours and saw a lot of listeners and had a great time. And was like, it's a shame that they can't put a good product out here because there's people gathering. Yeah, exactly.
It's phenomenal, which is like I know like you can criticize Monfort all you want. My point to him would be if you invested more and brought in outside sources to help you build this thing, you're making money now. If this team was a winner, and he got a taste of it a couple times, like year in and year out, year over year, it'd be crazy the amount of attention this team would get.
Well, I want to get another point on that because you're right. If this team was a winner, wait till I give you the little factoid about the attendance last night. In the meantime, we are on YouTube at Denver Sports. If you could find us there, like a video, maybe leave a comment, share, or most importantly, subscribe. We would appreciate it. Find us on YouTube at Denver Sports.